Yeah, so the song Pressure, thinking about how that came about, I think I was just fiddling on the guitar. I knew the album was going quite sort of synthy and quite programmed, you know, and you know, there's still a lot of live band in there as well, but we're trying to create that mix, and I kind of was on the guitar again like, what can this do, you know, what can this do that's good? And
the guitar in general.
Just the guitar, yeah. And I started I just started playing loads of riffs, you know. I started playing endless riffs, and I was like, and at the time I was playing, and you joined me as well. We joined this Beatles covers band called the Jaded Hearts Club, and I was playing a couple of shows with them. We actually got to jam with Paul McCartney, and I was learning Paul McCartney's bass lines, and I got a feeling that may have had a bit of an influence on it, because when I started trying to learn Paul McCartney's bass lines, I was like, wow, these are really busy, interesting bass lines, you know. So I think that might have rubbed off in some way, because when I was sat down on the guitar going like, how can we get this more on the album, I started playing loads of kind of riffs and sort of single note stuff, not chords basically, and just came up with a series of riffs that linked together. It was ding 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 ding, and then the do 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 do. And in the chorus, it really is quite a Beatles-like bass line. It goes do 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 do. Like it's only on the bottom 4 strings. You know, pretty much actually all the song is on the bottom 4 strings of the guitar. So it's probably very influenced by the fact that at that time I was playing the bass a lot, trying to learn Beatles bass lines. So weirdly enough, even though the album is quite futuristic, retro, nostalgia, 80s and so on, I'd say that song was probably quite influenced by Beatles. Yeah, the song Pressure ended up being one of the more guitar-driven songs on the album, and then Dom wanted to add brass to it, which was a good idea. You want to talk about that?
Yes. Well, I remember you showing me like a really early version on your phone, some kind of
I wrote the whole album on the phone, basically.
Yeah, variation of it with, you know, it was like basic demo stuff, but maybe some beatbox and the riff, and we could kind of thought, how can we make that riff just sound a bit different or add a different element into the band that we haven't really used before? So we thought, let's get some like heavy brass, which is something we haven't used much in a more kind of like pop rock song. You know, we've used it in some of the more orchestral stuff that we've done, but never really done it in a kind of rock tune like that. So added that into it, and you know, and it kind of worked and sounded, you know, awesome. So it just adds like a slightly different element into the song.
The whispering on Pressure is actually an interesting sort of vocoder effect actually. So when I sing normally, it kind of compresses all the vocal into a kind of it takes away all the notes, takes away all the sort of vibrations that are associated with notes, I guess, and you end up with just this whispery weird sound. Used it on a couple songs actually. Used it on used it on Pressure, and there was something else that's on for sure.
On the new album?
Yeah. Used it on something else. The Dark Side, yeah. It's on the Dark Side as well, yeah, that's it.
Pressure's one song that we have played live a couple of times already, but it was one in like as soon as we started rehearsing it, it was just like good straight away, if you know what I mean. It was kind of relatively like
it felt familiar, didn't it?
Yeah, it felt familiar and just seemed to work.
And regarding the whispering, that's actually a special. Get it out, let it all out, it's all right. Was that a cut?